I'm gonna start this, and now it is recording finally. And then we're gonna get that, it'll just turn it on and we can be all set. It's just inside.
She's a technical assistant.
Well, not exactly. I am a photographer and all this technical stuff kind of blows my mind, but that's okay. That's not a problem. And we are batting 1,000 now. We're all set up.
Well, will you tell us your name, your full name?
James K. Walker,
And Mr. Walker, can you tell us when you were born?
December 27th, 1930,
1930. And how long have you lived in Bridgeton?
since 1957.
1957.
Yeah, but my memories of Bridgeton go back before that.
Great. Well, we're here to capture any memories you'd like to tell us. And I'm sure there are a lot of things you can tell us. We can learn from you. Where did you live? Did you live somewhere in Bridgeton before you lived in this house?
Yeah, I lived in Carrollton. I moved in Carrollton in 1957, right after they built the display house with a basement.
Which street in Carrollton?
I was on Sangamon,
Oh.
one house off of Woodford Way.
Sure, sure. So you had a house with a basement?
I had the first house other than a display house in Bridgeton with a basement.
Who was the builder of Carrollton?
Fisher and
Okay.
Fritzel. Yeah, I knew them well.
Oh, you do?
Oh yeah, my brother-in-law was their oldest employee. The oldest laborer ever worked for him. He worked for him over in Frostwood. And Roland Summer. In fact, they sent him on a vacation to Florida one time because he was their oldest employee.
Now, they did, that section in Carrollton, did they also do what we call Carrollton Oaks?
Yeah, they did the whole Carrollton Estates, Carrollton
Did they?
Oaks. And
The shopping center as well?
I'm not sure who.
Where the bowling
I
alley
think
is?
they did it, but I'm not sure. Stelter be your best bet on that.
That's okay, that's all right.
But
Now, were you married when you lived on Sangamon?
yes, my wife had lived in Pattonville, which was where Bridgeton is now. She lived on the area just south of St. Charles Rock Road, where the cloverleaf for Highway 70 is. They own 9 acres there, and when they built 70 in I want to say 51, somewhere right in there, they made the move, just like they did Carrollton.
What was her maiden name?
Summer,
Okay.
Jeanette Summer, and her mother, and she and her brother own 9 acres there with 2 homes on it. And
So you married a
there.
Bridgetonite, huh? I said you married a Bridgetonite. I
oh
guess.
yeah, well, she was Pattonville. That wasn't called Bridgeton.
Right,
Right.
back in the day, yeah.
Right next door, Peggy and Gladys had a tavern just west of there, where the AT&T building is now.
yeah.
There was a tavern there, and then there was one house, and then where they lived. And they had about 500 or 600 foot frontage on St. Charles Rock Road.
Is that down close to the Olive Garden?
No, on 70 back this
70,
way.
Where 70 crosses St. Charles Rock Road. Right up there.
Right. Right up there, like where 70 comes
Right
across off of
across
Harmon, off of Mark Twain, like
Yeah,
across
yeah,
from
where
there.
Mark Twain goes down.
Right.
In fact, where that Mark Twain Drive goes down there, they left them 2 acres in there. And she sold it to the next door neighbor a couple years later.
Now, where did you grow up?
Overland. I
Okay,
was born in Overland, grew up there,
okay,
went to Rittner High School,
uh-huh,
which was rivals of Pattonville.
sure, sure, uh-huh.
And
And now what year did you get married?
1951,
Nin-
July 4th.
July 4th.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what did you do growing up? Did you work part-time around here?
I worked any chance I got to work. We were poor.
Sure.
I say we were poor, but it's a lie. We never missed a meal. My parents lived over in Overland, had a 270-foot deep lot and 50-foot wide, but way back. And we had a garden, we had chickens in the backyard.
What street was it? Do you remember?
Overland.
Just continue, we're okay. So we may, I don't remember what the last question was, but we might start
know.
back.
Oh, you want the light off, I guess.
Oh, I can do that. Is it? There you go. Now we're set.
Well, Mr. Walker, you were going to tell us a little bit about what you did to work part-time while you were growing up in Overland.
Well, I grew up in Overland, but I was in the Boy Scouts, and the first merit badges I got were swimming and life saving. And when I was 15 years old, I got a job out at Westlake Park,
Okay.
and I was lifeguard. Sometimes I was lifeguard, sometimes I worked in the change room. Whatever they needed, I did. At that point, we did whatever was necessary
Sure.
to make a buck.
Sure.
And sometimes we took the streetcar out there, the Whitson Road car. Other times I rode my bike, depended on what the weather was like or how I felt,
Mm-hmm.
or if I needed that dime that, or the 20 cents that it cost on the streetcar.
Uh-huh.
But one of my jobs in the pool every morning was cleaning the bottom of the pool because they used to throw beer bottles down from the Penny Ante pavilion there, which was right above the pool, and try and break them on the edge
Oh,
of
no.
the... And every morning I had to swim the bottom of the pool, pick up the broken glass.
How did you pick up the broken glass?
Picked it up with my fingers,
Oh, my gosh. You didn't cut yourself?
occasionally,
Oh.
but you get pretty careful
That sounds
after
like
a
it should
while.
be hazardous duty.
Yeah, they didn't pay extra. But
We've
one of
been,
the good parts of that job was after hours, they'd let the employees ride all of the rides.
Uh-huh.
And so we could go on the Comet, well, it wasn't the Comet was down at
Oh, at
Big
Highlands.
Park Highlands, yes. But they're roller coaster. And we got to ride any of the rides. They'd keep 4 or 5 of them open each night for a little while, and we could ride them for maybe 45 minutes and then go home. But that was always fun.
we've heard they had dances there.
They had a dance floor. They had all kinds of things, but their dance floor was not very big, and it was in the pavilion area.
What kind of rides? I know it wasn't quite as big like the Highlands,
Oh,
but
no, but
but what was it
had
like?
all kinds of rides. It had the Tumblebug or the Comet, the, gee whiz, I can't remember. They had a fun house that had a large slide on one end, and it was slick. And they'd give you a gunny sack. You'd go up to the top and had a gunny sack and sled down on that gunny sack, and it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
They had the little place you walk across and blows the girls' skirts up. Oh yeah.
did
not
they
very
have
high.
a haunted house or at that one? Like they
I don't remember a haunted house.
It was just a fun.
just a
they
fun
had,
house? Yeah.
They probably did. I don't remember. Hey, I'm old. But they had almost that fun house you could stay in for hours. And, they had a barrel that rolled around, and you walked through the barrel. Tried to do it without, and if you got real good at it, they'd speed it up a little. But it was just a fun place to be. And the rides, you paid for each ride. So if you went in a fun house, it was one charge, and you could stay in there maybe a half hour or so.
Yeah. Now, what years? How old were you when you worked there?
I was 15, 16.
And
I
then what?
worked there part of 2 summers.
What year did it, do you remember when it burned? Do you know what year it was or
I
approximately?
have no idea when that happened. No.
Is-
It must have been, oh me, probably in the early 50s,
Okay.
late 40s or early 50s. I don't remember, but I'm sure it was along there. And it
And-
was on the road out to,
Yeah, what's in that spot now? So where was it at?
well, the old Dolson store was there.
Okay.
It's where Penridge, between
Yeah.
270 and Penridge.
Okay.
In that area. The streetcar stopped at the wedge there where St. Charles and Natural Bridge. Actually, they didn't, Natural Bridge didn't have that last curve around there. And it went on out a little farther to where 270 is now. And the streetcar stopped there, and it was right in front of the park. So 270 probably took some of the area that was, you can't really, unless you had a map, you couldn't
Right.
overlay
But it
it.
was in that general area.
It was in that area. And then west of that area was a favorite place of ours because our family used to go out there. Like I said, we were poor. And during the Second World War, everything was rationed. Meat was rationed, and my dad loved to fish, and we'd go out fishing many nights in the summer, right along where the old Kratz Airport was. I don't know if you know where that was, but Kratz Flats was down in the low area,
Kind of, is
past
that where
Tossick Road,
Okay.
between Tossick, down in the flat area, past Tossick and on out to the river they called Kratz Flats. And the airport was down in there on the right-hand side as you're going west, or the north side. And there was it's still there, a little slough that came back along the road on both sides. And Dad'd go out there and fish every night that he could get a chance. He loved to fish, and we ate a lot of fish. And because it was cheap, it didn't cost any ration stamps, and was worthwhile going. So that was one of our favorite places.
Did you graduate from high school?
Oh yes, from Rittner.
Uh-huh. And what happened then after graduation? Did you go in the military at all?
First I went to Rolla for a semester, but my dad had died the April before I graduated, and Mom didn't have enough money to keep me in school. I tried it for a semester and came back, went to work at McDonnell Douglas, and got laid off in May, and in June I went in the service for a year.
What branch?
I was in the Army. I went in under a one-year plan where you served 1 year on active duty, and then you had to serve 6 years in the active reserve. But I got out after 3 years because I was company clerk, and an AR came through that said you had so many points, and I started adding my points up, and I had just enough, and I wrote a letter, was out the next week.
Where were you stationed?
I was in Fort Bliss, Texas. Fort Bliss, Texas, right out of El Paso. Between El Paso and Biggs Air Force Base. It's a nice place to be.
So when you got out of the military, you came back to St. Louis.
And I went to work down at Kings Highway in Easton at a filling station
Why did you go all the way down to Kings Highway in Easton?
because they hired me. Somebody told me it was okay. I was looking for a job and there weren't any jobs. That was in June of 1950, and jobs were tough to come by.
Kind of like now. Kind of
Yeah.
like now.
Yeah, kind of.
Uh-huh.
But I worked on there for a year. In 1952, I went back to McDonald's and worked there for the next 40 years.
What did you do for McDonald's?
Well, I was a sheet metal man, a mechanic, a shop supervisor, and finally I got into a good job, and for the last 27 years I was there. I was what they called a production planner, which we took the blueprints from engineering and made it happen. We were the people that wrote the orders to make the parts, make the tools to build the parts, decided where the part was going into the airplane, and made sure it happened. And it was very interesting. I loved it.
That's great. Now tell me, when did you meet your wife and when did you get married then?
I met her at church in Overland. No, I don't know. We both went to church there. I mean, it kind of happened. I don't know when we met.
Did you
When we
know?
started dating, we didn't date exactly. The group went out, and sometimes we'd go down to the Highlands after church on Sunday night and take one ride. If you had a quarter, if you had a quarter, you could go and take one ride on the Comet, come home. But
Was this while you were in high school that you talked to her?
yeah, some of it. Yeah, late high school. I was the youngest one in the group, as you said before. You got my birthday and hers, and I'm 4 years younger than she. But I ran around with the older kids and did real well with them, and they tolerated me. And so I don't know exactly when we met, but it was long in that group. And we dated off and on. She wrote to me while I was in the service. I came back, I got out in June the 26th, 1950, and we were married in July of 1951.
Okay.
So year and a month, or a year later.
And then when you got married, did you move directly into the house on Sangamon, or did you
No,
live some?
we couldn't find a place to live at first, and finally, yeah, we lived in Bridgeton up on Raymond Avenue. Right, probably a block down from south of St. Charles Rock Road. Lived in an apartment upstairs. I can show you the place there.
It's still there, right?
Yeah, it's still there.
Was that real close to the Lucas place? Do you remember that? The Lucas place?
No,
Where Walgreens is?
On the corner of
Oh,
the
no.
Rock Road and Fifi.
It's down from
Raymond's
that,
down further, yeah.
just a little ways. On the corner of Raymond and the Rock Road, there used to be a restaurant,
Right, yeah. I think I remember that.
and we used to eat in there once in a while. It was down probably 6 or 7 houses. I showed my granddaughter where it was not too long ago. But we lived there, and then we moved into Overland. My mother had an apartment that opened up, and we rented it. And then we bought a house over on Lenora in St. John's. And that's about the time that the highway department decided to take my mother-in-law's place there, and so they all moved in. My mother-in-law, my brother-in-law, my wife's uncle moved in with Jeanette and I in a little one-bedroom,
Oh my goodness.
living room, dining room, kitchen, and bedroom. Had a sun porch, and we made a room for my brother-in-law down in the basement, and we all lived there for, well, about 6 months, I guess, and then they opened a place up in Carrollton, and we could move in there. But,
That was a nice big place compared to that, right?
oh, it was 3 bedrooms, a bath.